preseason is all it took for some players to light the fantasy world on fire. Roles got clearer, opportunities opened up, and a few guys flat out dominated when they hit the field. Their stock isn't just climbing, it's exploding, and the sooner you're in on them, the bigger your edge. Today, I'm breaking down 10 players skyrocketing up our fantasy rankings after the preseason week 1. Starting with rookie wide receiver Travis Hunter. Now look, the thing about Travis Hunter is we weren't sure about his role, but I think we got some clarity in preseason week 1 because he played 11 of 12 snaps with the starters as a wide receiver. Now yes, he did come into the game, he did play some defensive back, but that was with the second team defense. This tells me that at least for right now and maybe the whole season, the Jaguars view this guy more as a wide receiver than a defensive back. And if he's going to be out there 80-90% of the snaps as a wide receiver, this dude actually has the ability to be one of the best wide receivers in all of football. Last year, he ranked in the 92nd or better percentile versus man, zone, and press. Not to mention, he can run the entire route tree. Plus, this guy ran a 4.39 40, and he has fantastic hands, catching 81% of his contested targets. And if all that isn't enough for you, this is a guy who can hit a home run anytime he has the ball in his hand. He can take any play to the house at any moment. This is exactly what we are looking for in fantasy football. And again, the concerns were, well, can he play offense and defense and stay healthy and give fantasy value? Well, according to preseason week 1, it looks like he's going to primarily be offense, primarily be wide receiver. And if he is, he's got a great chance to smash as a rookie in year 1. We have moved him up in our rankings. Right now, consensus ADP currently ranks him as the wide receiver 29. We've moved him all the way up to wide receiver 21. This guy has the talent, has the ability. He just needs the opportunity. And if he's going to be out there that much every week of the season, the opportunity will absolutely be there for Travis Hunter to be great in year 1. Now, I've been saying all offseason, nothing wrong with Bucky Irving. I don't think Bucky Irving's going to be a bust, but I prefer to get him in round 3 versus round 2. But you know what? After the preseason, I've moved him back into round 2. Why? Because Rachaad White, who for some reason was playing in that preseason game, suffered a groin injury. Now, of course, we don't know the severity of the groin injury. We don't know how many, if any, games he's going to miss. But here's what I do know about groin injuries. They can tend to linger, and they're not the kind of thing that is good for her running back whatsoever. And my main concerns with Bucky Irving coming into this year, why I thought, maybe round 3 felt better than round 2 was, number 1, can he maintain that elite efficiency he had last year? We know efficiency is one of those metrics that is not very sticky year over year. We see many efficient running backs drop. Look, Devon Achane was a perfect example. Year 1, he had like 8 yards per carry. Last year, he was down to like 4.5 yards per carry or under 4.5. But number 2, the thing that really concerned me about Bucky Irving here was how many passes was he really going to catch with a healthy Rachaad White? Well, that might not be an issue anymore because look, I know Sean Tucker's getting a lot of buzz now and Sean Tucker's going to get some run, but Sean Tucker is not a pass catching back. Sure, he may catch a pass or two, but he's not going to be a guy that's going to catch a ton of passes and be running routes out there. Bucky Irving, even though he didn't catch a ton of passes last year, actually does profile as a pass catching back. In college, he had a 96th percentile target share, and last year he was 10th among all running backs in yards per route run. He absolutely has the ability to be a monster in the receiving game. It's just Rachaad White was there, and he's already very good in the receiving game. But if Rachaad White is out of the picture, yeah, Bucky Irving is going to also catch a ton of passes, not to mention get the majority of the early down work. So right now, consensus ADP has him ranked at running back 10, and that's exactly where we have him ranked, which is higher than we were on him prior to the Rachaad White injury. Again, I now feel like Bucky Irving is a solid pick towards the end of the second round. Now, another running back may benefit from injury in the preseason, and that is Tony Pollard, because Tyjae Spears, who was supposed to be the kind of 1B to Tony Pollard's 1A, suffered an ankle sprain in that preseason game. Now, we don't know the severity of the ankle sprain. We don't know how long he's going to be out. Maybe he'll be out there week 1. We don't know. But you know what I do know? It doesn't matter. Tyjae Spears is just a change of pace guy. Look at the usage for Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears prior to Spears' injury. Tony Pollard had a 79% snap share, 67% rush share, and a 75% route participation. Not to mention, he got 2 carries inside the 5-yard line. Tyjae Spears is just the change of pace guy, even when he's healthy. And the thing about ankle sprains is, even when the guys first come back, we know it's not 100%. These ankle sprains can linger. It can take a while for these running backs to get back to 100% coming off an ankle sprain. Last year, this was Tony Pollard's backfield when he was healthy. Brian Callahan last year said, oh yeah, we want to split. It was all Pollard. This year, Brian Callahan, oh yeah, we want to split. Preseason, all Tony Pollard. It's going to be all Tony Pollard in a much improved offense with Cam Ward. I know it's preseason, but look, they were actually able to move the ball, get into scoring position, put some points on the board. They couldn't really do that last year. This is going to be a better offense. Tony Pollard continues to be one of the best values in all of fantasy. Right now, consensus ADP running back 28. We moved him up to RB 22, and honestly, this feels like his floor. All right, back to another rookie wide receiver, Tetaroa McMillan. Did I get it right? Let me know if I got it right. I'm trying here, guys. Look, in that preseason game, he played every snap with the starters, all 13 snaps with the starters, had 2 catches for 43 yards, and it should have been a bigger game because he dropped a pretty easy touchdown. But if you saw that play, he absolutely destroyed that defender with that move. Such a great move, just didn't make the catch. But he's going to make most of those catches. And this is what I've been talking about. He's such a great fit for Bryce Young's skill set. What did we see on that deep catch? He had one-on-one on the outside, and Bryce Young knew, even before he snapped it, that's where he was going. He went there, he knew McMillan could make the play, and McMillan did. This is a great match here, and preseason just made me higher on a guy that I was already very high on this season. I mean, I've talked up McMillan a ton. I'm going to keep talking him up because what I saw in the preseason just showed me this guy may be the best rookie wide receiver in year one for fantasy. And look, Bryce Young, we saw last year at the end of the season, he really showed huge improvement in the second half of the season. And then what did we see in that game? Man, he looked great. I know, I'm not just talking like his stats. I'm just talking about the way he played the game. He just looks like a different player right now. Like he is ready to make the leap. And if he does, McMillan is going to be great in year one. So yes, we were already very high on McMillan. We've already told you a bunch of times to draft McMillan, but we actually have moved him up even higher in our rankings. Right now, his consensus ADP is the wide receiver 28. We've got him all the way up at wide receiver 18. And honestly, if him and Bryce Young keep playing like this, he might need to go even higher. All right, let's keep the rookie wide receiver train going here with Matthew Golden. Again, another guy I've talked about a ton. And in that first preseason game, he played every snap with the starters. And this is kind of what I said if you watch the 5 sleeper wide receiver video, which I filmed before that preseason game. I said, hey, it sounds like it's going to be him and Romeo Doubs in 2 wide receiver sets. And that's exactly what we saw in the preseason. And dare I say, the Packers actually have a wide receiver 1 because Matthew Golden can 100% be a wide receiver 1 in the NFL. And all reports out of camp are he's unguardable, which makes sense because this guy has elite 4.29 speed, 91st percentile speed score. But unlike a lot of speedy wide receivers that have come before him who can't catch, can't run routes, which kind of important if you're going to play wide receiver in the NFL, Matthew Golden can absolutely do both. According to Matt Harmon of Reception Perception, he saw a contested target on 22.6% of his sampled looks, and he won 83.3% of those chances. When you look at his route tree here, as expected, an above average success rate on all the vertical routes using that speed, but also an above average rate on the dig, out, and slant routes. He isn't just a run straight speedster. He has another dimension here that's going to give him fantasy value out of just having to hit home runs. They're going to use this guy as a number 1 wide receiver. I know Jordan Love having a procedure on his non-throwing hand, but it's his non-throwing hand. He should be ready to go week 1. I'm not worried about it here. I think Matthew Golden can be every bit as good as Travis Hunter and Tetaroa McMillan. Man, I got it right once. I know I didn't get it right that time, but he can be just every bit as good as those guys. I'm going to get it right by the time the season comes up. I promise I'll get it right. But Matthew Golden is going to be every bit as good as those guys this season, or he has the potential to be every bit as good as those guys, I should say. And right now his consensus rank is wide receiver 44. We've got him way above consensus, wide receiver 32. And honestly, that might end up being too low. All right, one more rookie wide receiver. I know you're probably getting tired of the rookie wide receiver hype, but that's what preseason is for, right? Emeka Egbuka of the Buccaneers. Now, they didn't play the starters in this game, but he did play, of course, with the starters for the game, not the official starters. But what was interesting here is we got to really see maybe the Bucs' vision for this guy because he played 9 of his 10 snaps on the outside. We thought this is a guy that was probably going to have to play in the slot, and how is he going to do that with Chris Godwin there? But if they're going to move him to the outside, there is a clear role for him as a number 2 wide receiver with Mike Evans. And look, he can play on the outside. He's no slouch there. Last year, he actually had a higher yards per route run on the outside than in the slot. Now, we do have to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt because he played over 70% of his snaps from the slot and he was off the line of scrimmage for 83% of his snaps. But this isn't a guy who has to be in the slot. Yes, he dominated zone last year with an 83% success rate, but he also had a 68% success rate versus man and a very impressive 82% versus press. Now again, He didn't get pressed a lot because he's off the line of scrimmage, but guess what? If he's going to play outside alongside Mike Evans, he's not going to be on the line of scrimmage very much because Mike Evans is their ex-wide receiver who lines up on the line of scrimmage. Over his career, Mike Evans has played over 80% of his snaps on the line of scrimmage, and that's where he's going to be this year. That means Egbuka, whether he's in the slot or on the outside, is going to be off the line of scrimmage. He's going to get those easier releases, those free releases, and it sounds like this guy has also been unguardable in camp. Now, we don't want to go crazy about camp, but the fact that he's putting up good camp vibes is a good thing. If he was struggling, we'd have to be a little bit worried. Look, Egbuka is a great prospect. He's a great wide receiver. We were a little worried when he landed here, like Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, where is this guy going to play? But now we have clarity on where he's going to play. He could potentially be out there 80% of the snaps. And I think there's enough here with this Buccaneers offense for Mike Evans and Chris Godwin to be great and Egbuka to be good. I don't like him quite as much as the other guys because, again, much more target competition here. But still, have to move this guy up our rankings. Right now, he's consensus ADP wide receiver 47. We have moved him up to wide receiver 45. Not a huge difference from consensus, but we were lower on consensus for much of the offseason. So this is a big jump for Egbuka. And look, if Godwin isn't ready to go to start the season, if we're hearing words that he's not ready to go, we're going to move him up even higher. All right, from rookie wide receivers to a rookie running back, TreVeyon Henderson. I know everybody saw the 100-yard kickoff return, and that right there is going to, skyrocket him up rankings. And he has moved up rankings, but that should not be the reason you're moving this guy up rankings. What should move him up rankings is what he did outside of the kick return. Because let's be real, are we going to bank on this guy to return a kick every week? No, I mean, he might not return a kick return touchdown all season long. It doesn't happen very often. But look what he did in this game when given his opportunities. He only got one carry, but he ripped it off for an 18-yard run. He also caught all 3 of his targets for 12 yards. And that's what I love about TreVeyon Henderson, even to start the season. Sure, Ramondre probably going to be the early down guy, but TreVeyon Henderson is going to be the pass-catching back. That's going to give him value in your PPR leagues. This is a guy, an explosive athlete, home run potential every time he touches the ball. We saw that in the preseason game with the kick return, with that long run. And I really do think as the season goes on, kind of like Bucky Irving and Rashad Wright last year, they're going to just have to give this guy the ball more. He's going to force them to give him the ball more. He's also one of the best pass blockers, already getting rave reviews about his pass protection in camp, which is going to allow him to stay on the field more. So TreVeyon Henderson, yes, he started to go up rankings because of what he did in that preseason game. But right now, he's a consensus RB20. We've got him higher than that at the RB17. And honestly, this might be too low if he eventually takes over this backfield as the season goes on. All right, let's go into the world of handcuffs. Remember Keaton Mitchell? This guy was kind of a hyped guy, a speedster, and didn't do anything because, of course, he tore his ACL, then he re-injured the knee, and really hasn't been able to play much, has been less than 100%, but man, did he look good in that preseason game. 9 carries, 68 yards, and a touchdown. We saw that burst. We saw that explosiveness. We saw that speed. Now, of course, I'm not going to here to tell you like this guy is going to take touches away from Derrick Henry. He's not going to take touches away from Derrick Henry. Sure, he'll come into the game sometimes because Derrick Henry can't play 100% of the snaps, but he's not taking over this backfield the way TreVeyon Henderson might. But Derrick Henry, despite being a unicorn, could get hurt. You never know. And if he does, I think Keaton Mitchell is going to be the guy you're going to want in this backfield. Now, look, I don't think Keaton Mitchell is going to take every snap if Derrick Henry goes out. Justice Hill is still there. The Ravens like Justice Hill. Justice Hill was solid last year. I think it's going to be somewhere around a 50-50 split between these guys, but I would much rather have Keaton Mitchell. I would much rather have the guy that can turn 9 touches into 68 yards and a touchdown, can rip, a long touchdown run on any given touch, can catch some passes. Now, Justice Hill is fine. He can catch passes too, but he does not have the juice that Keaton Mitchell has. So I think, in your shallower leagues, you're probably not going to have to draft Keaton Mitchell, of course, but he's a guy to keep your eye on. And if anything should happen to Derrick Henry, I think most people are going to run out and grab Justice Hill. I'm going to go get Keaton Mitchell, and we have moved him up right now. Consensus ADP has him running back 71. We've moved him up to running back 53, still in that handcuff range, but that handcuff range for guys we actually like. All right, let's stick in the land of the handcuffs with Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, rookie running back for the Commanders. Now, of course, the starters did not play in this game. Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, they did not play. But Krosky-Merritt was the first running back out there playing most of the snaps, which tells me he's already ahead of Jerry McNichols and Chris Rodriguez. And this is good because now it means he's this close to having a role should something happen to Brian Robinson or Austin Eckler. But also, this guy is no slouch. I could see him carving out a role even when these guys are healthy because he actually is a talented running back. Remember, he had eligibility issues last year stemming from like his freshman year where he loaned his teammate his jersey and something got mixed up with his stats. And so he wasn't really able to play last year. He played like one game and then they're like, wait, you don't have eligibility. You're not supposed to be playing. But if you look at him prior to that, this guy was a stud running back. And really, had he played last year, he probably would have gotten a lot more buzz. Because according to Pro Football Reference, among 857 FBS running backs with at least 200 carries since 2014, he was in the 95th percentile in after contact rate, the 98th percentile in missed tackle rate, and the 97th percentile in breakaway run rate. And Jacob Gibbs on Twitter did some great research on him. He said, if you filter out the Alabama State seasons, here's how Krosky Merritt's 2023-2024 seasons at New Mexico and the one game at Arizona ranked among the 25 running backs in this year's class. Voided tackle rate, 4th best. Rushing success rate, 3rd best. Yards per rush, 4th best. Yards after contact per rush, 8th best. Explosive rush rate, 2nd best. First downs per rush, 2nd best. This guy didn't fall in the draft because he's not good. He fell in the draft because he didn't play last year, right? Out of sight, out of mind. Had he played last year, he would have absolutely gone higher in the draft, would have had a lot more buzz, and he's getting a ton of great, talking up out of camp from the beat writers. Like, he looks great. And Brian Robinson Jr. has never played a healthy season. Austin Eckler getting up there in age. It's not hard to envision Krosky Merritt getting plenty of touches at some point this season. And right now he's a consensus running back 63. We've moved him up to running back 52. Again, those high-end handcuffs that we absolutely want to target in our fantasy drafts. In your shallower leagues, maybe you don't need them, but keep him on your watch list. This guy can have value in year one. And then finally, I'll say I haven't really been in on Marvin Mims like ever since he came into the pros, even this offseason, because I just don't love his profile here. We're talking about a guy who's listed at 5'11", 180 pounds, and that actually seems generous. He only had a 62nd percentile target share in college, and in his first 33 NFL games, he has a whopping 61 catches. But what did we see in the first preseason game? He played 15 of 18 snaps with the first team offense, which is second only to Cortland Sutton. And last year, he showed the kind of upside he can have. Over the last 2 games, he had 13 catches and 4 touchdowns, despite playing less than half the snaps in both of those games. If the plan is really to have him play over 80% of the snaps, we got to take note he's going to be fantasy relevant. Now, I will say, I'm not going overboard here. I'm still nervous about his profile. It's not very often we see a guy with his profile, with his kind of start to his career, suddenly break out and become a fantasy contributor. I'm not saying it's never happened. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying it's not very often. So I don't want to go too crazy here, but we do have to move him up a little bit based on what we see in week 1 preseason. Right now, consensus ADP has him wide receiver 55. We've moved him up to wide receiver 51. Again, we don't want to go crazy here, but if we continue to see this usage in the preseason, we might have to move him up even more. So those 10 players are skyrocketing up our rankings right now, but you need to get ready for your drafts that are coming up right around the corner. We got you covered. Everything you need, you find it in our playlist right here.